Namaste everyone. Thank you for joining in this ongoing video series on the nodes where we are looking at the results for the placement of the nodes in various houses. And today we'll be looking at Ketu in the 8th house. But then before we go into the meat of the topic, kindly like the content, subscribe to the channel and share it with your friends and family if you find it useful. So if you remember our discussion with Rahu in the 2nd house, so such a placement can foster attachment to one's family. But then when Ketu comes to the 8th, it can bring apathy towards your partner's family. And we know that Ketu is the Karaka for ancestors. And with Ketu being in a state of dislocation, this may simply imply separation from grandparents or trauma for distant relatives. On a mundane level, such a native may be oblivious to the financial obligations that concern most people. It could be a blind spot, or he just does not care, He or she may fail to pay his taxes, insure his assets, pay his bills, or repay his debts. And these people, they feel no responsibility nor have any idea how to administer joint finances of a partnership, whether in marriage or business. Other people's money is never foremost on the minds of these people. And similarly, they may also be ambivalent about the prospect of inheritance or legacy, even though it may be forthcoming. Now, Ketu has few restrictions, and as such, the native does very little to protect the partner's finances or the fidelity of marriage, or confidential information shared by significant others, or requests bucketed via membership in restricted societies or initiation into occult practices. And because Ketu is like Mars, its ambition and energy sometimes can get derailed in the 8th house. Okay, for example, such a native may be unable to get traction in his or her career path, especially early in life before he has developed mature traits of planning and perseverance. The 8th house also reflects rejuvenation or transformation. And here, Ketu's presence implies ambivalence or a lack of will to recover from trauma. The native may simply resign himself or herself to reduced circumstances, or more sublimely, such a native may have an inkling of his own demise, yet surrender to it without struggle. The native with Ketu in the 8th may be immune to shock or trauma. He takes it in stride, perhaps knowing it's the inevitable route to spiritual experience. And with such objectivity, the native may make a good counselor, healer, psychologist, or a therapist capable of guiding others through similar life-changing circumstances. Now, immunity to trauma may cover the gamut of human experience, bankruptcy, death of spouse or family member, life-threatening accident or illness, divorce, infidelities, natural disasters, and so on. And the native may well understand the situation and its consequences. It's just that such a person is not traumatized by the experience like most people. Ketu in the 8th house also represents an inclination towards the occult. And, whereas such a native may have a passion for utilitarian knowledge, insofar as a good education is a store of value that enjoys currency, he or she may be ambivalent regarding secret or occult knowledge whose market value is dubious. Okay, this is very ironic because access to such knowledge may be easier for such a native as compared to others. And such a native may have a very tenuous grip on consciousness. He or she may have psychic episodes, drifting into a state of trance, seemingly chosen by unseen powers to receive information he may or may not have sought. Such natives at the end of their lives simply disappear, drop off the radar, fade away, or slip into a coma from which there is no return. In fact, they may seem to embrace death as a result of their apathy for life. But then we also know that Ketu is Moksha Karaka, and in the 8th house, it modulates the circumstances of death. So it will amplify the nature and effect of other planets in the 8th, potentially indicating the mannerism of death or the nature of death as such. So for example, say if this Ketu joins Mars in the 8th, it can indicate death from a sharp object, while, Ketu joining Saturn in the 8th could indicate death from suffocation. Okay. So that is my analysis of Ketu in the 8th house. Do let me know if it agrees with you, if you have displacement, or if anyone you know has displacement. And as always, please leave behind your valuable comments in the feedback section. That's it from me. I'll see you soon in yet another video. Namaste. Om Gurave Namaha.